Alright guys, the camera's about to die. I got an interesting kind of report for you today. So we are March 9th, yes. So this was the 12th workout of the year. I believe the 10th workout of the Consolidation program that I've been doing. Long story short, the deadlift, did my normal warm-up, 135 for 10, then 225. Okay. So long story short, my camera died, but I got it plugged into a battery, so we should be hopefully good to go now. So anyway, as I was saying before I got so rudely interrupted by my equipment. So for the deadlift, did my 2 warm-up sets as I said before. Then I went for 315. Last time I did this, which was, when was it? February 23rd, I did 315 for 1. This time, I went to do 315, as you saw in the video here. It didn't go up. It didn't happen. It didn't get off the ground. It's a bit of a hit to the morale there. I was hoping to at least get 2 reps, didn't get any reps. So, and I tried, like, what, 2 or 3 times at least, probably, to pick it up off the floor. Didn't happen. Dropped it down to 295. So I basically swapped a 45-pound plate on each side for a 35-pound plate. Again, you know, all of the different weight plates might vary slightly in their weight, but roughly the weight that it says on the plate, right? So essentially it was like 295 pounds is what I ended up picking up off the floor for 1 rep. So my 1 rep max on deadlift went down to around, like, because you don't know necessarily exactly what it is, but in terms of what we saw today, my 1 rep max for deadlift went down to 295 for 1, obviously. And yeah, so that's a bit of a bummer. And so then after that, I just decided to do 225 pounds to failure, which, if I counted correctly, was like 13 reps, just to try to get a little bit of extra intensity in there, because I wasn't really feeling accomplished by doing 295 for 1. Now that rep, while it might have looked a little bit rough, was probably still fairly intense, or hopefully intense. But I was like, wasn't quite enough intensity for me. I wanted to, I don't know, like kind of just get a little bit more intensity, a little bit more failure, whatever you want to call it. Now maybe I was going a bit out of line in terms of the training theory or methodology here by dropping down to 225 to then doing that to failure and getting 13. I do feel pretty depleted right now, so hopefully I passed some sort of intensity threshold today. But yeah, just the 1 rep max, dropping down the weight, you know, and just doing it for only 1 rep, that wasn't really doing it for me. So again, did I go a little bit out of line by doing the 225 to failure after that? Because that's probably considered a reloading of the bar and then attempting again, which I believe Mike spoke against doing that. But at the same time, in the example that he gave, the theoretical example of stopping and reloading, that's when I think the person in the analogy or in the example that he made up got to like 4 or 5 reps or whatever. Whereas like if I would have gotten to, you know, basically 2 or more reps, I probably would have been content with that and just like called it quits on the deadlift there. But dropping down that 20 pounds and doing only 1 rep, that I wasn't really having it. So anyway, say what you will about that. I think I'm going to probably just reattempt 315 again next time I do this, 2 workouts from now, and we'll see what happens. Now we're getting into a bit of the theorizing portion of this training experiment here, because now I have to try to figure out what went wrong, because before now it's been a relatively consistent increase, except for with the pull downs. It was kind of like a bit of a gray area. I wasn't 100% certain on if the strength plateaued a little bit or only barely increased. But on the deadlifts, it's kind of hard to deny the results here, or lack thereof. And so I'm going to give you some theorizing in a second from now on why this might be happening. In terms of the dips, if I counted correctly, I got 7 reps on the dips. I think that comparing that to last time, okay, on February 23rd, the dips were at 6 reps. So this time the dips were at 7 reps. But one thing I will say though, and I kind of knew this as I was doing it, the dips reps may have looked hopefully pretty clean, but at the same time, I think I probably knew, I think I knew in the midst of doing the dips that I was rushing it a bit. So I think the dips could have been done a bit more slowly with a bit more intensity, but that didn't happen. And I wrote in my notes here, so I'll just read through my notes. Deadlift got weaker, ? Might be due to some poor quality, bracket, less than 7-hour nights of sleep, ? Dips may have felt a little weaker too. Dips were a bit rushed. Chasing numbers, not intensity. Then I put a frowny face at the end of that sentence, or after the period of that sentence. So essentially, yeah, on the dips, I was chasing numbers more than intensity, because if I was chasing intensity more than numbers, I probably would have slowed down the pattern or slowed down the tempo of the dips. I was rushing the reps on the dips probably at least a little bit, and I think I probably knew I was doing that while I was doing it. And so that's worth noting, because it kind of shows, like, where's your head at? Maybe the morale was getting was already lower, maybe even getting a bit lower, because like I wrote here, dips were a bit rushed, or what was it? Dips may have felt a little weaker too. They might have. Not 100% sure. The dips were feeling good for, I think, the first 2 or 3 reps. Then after that point, I think I might have felt a little bit of a lack of strength or maybe confidence in the dips from maybe rep 3 or so onwards. And so that's a bit of a bummer. But in terms of the numbers here, the reps did increase by 1. So that's something. But at the same time, the tempo of the reps might have been a bit faster. So if I had done it with the same tempo as before, would I have gotten 6 again? Like, would I have plateaued there? Because that 7th rep, if I remember correctly, on the way up was a bit of a slow grind. It was quite difficult to kind of get that rep to lockout, I believe. So my theorizing, as I've already sort of detailed a little bit here in my notes, is in terms of what went wrong, why was the strength weaker, at least on the deadlifts this time, potentially maybe a little bit on the dips, potentially, why was the strength weaker? So there could be a couple different reasons, because it seems like with this type of training, you got to really kind of dial it in. And what does that mean? So like I'm starting to, or I've been analyzing, like, or thinking about, like, how much does your consistent level of sleep help or negatively affect your training? So for example, like if you consistently get 7 hours a night at least of sleep consistently, does that make your training consistently, or help your training to consistently progress better, or with more potential for success than if you got less than 7 hours a night of sleep consistently? Because there was 1 or 2 nights this week, I think, where I got 6 hours or less, or 6.5 hours or less of sleep. There might have been 3 nights where the sleep was not roughly at around that 7-hour range. When I get the sleep dialed in to around 7+ hours a night consistently, I think I'd probably be pretty good about that, would feel pretty good about it. But as soon as I get like a 5.5 hour sleep night in there, which may have happened, I don't know if it was exactly 5.5 hours, but whatever it was, I was looking at like what my alarm said, the amount of hours of sleep till the first alarm would go off. It wasn't looking too great, at least one night. So did that play into the strength decrease? Also, again, the nutritional factor. Was I eating enough consistently to have a necessary energy supply? So for example, I don't know that I ate as many calories yesterday, which would have been Sunday, as I would normally eat on an average day while doing this training. Now I did try to really carb up today, like eating more sweets and sugar and stuff like that. I tried to do stuff like that to try to get lots of like sugar and glycogen in the muscles for the high intensity training. Some people might look at that and be like, oh, that's not like a good thing to do. I've been kind of trying it or experimenting with it. I can't necessarily tell you for certain that it's like the best strategy or not, but think of it kind of yeah, just trying to like whether you carb up or you sugar up before the workout to try to like get the get the glucose in there, get the glycogen in there, so then you could have that high intensity training fueled more adequately. But what is the level of time that it takes for the digestive process to bring that sugar into glucose and into the muscles, if I'm explaining that correctly? You know, like, I don't know what the time frame is on when is most effective to eat those calories to adequately supply the workout, or optimally. Same thing, like, I take this one supplement as well. I mix it with a little bit of BioSteel and water, but I put this other supplement in there, and I take it kind of like a pre-workout now, but I'm not sure like how soon before the high intensity set is optimal timing to take it. Like, for example, today I kind of started to sip it on the way to the gym, then sipping it in the gym, and then like right before kind of going over and doing the warm-up sets, drinking the last little bit of it there. Now, is that better to drink that supplement and stuff a bit more before doing the workout to let it kind of settle in, or is it better to just kind of chug it down right before doing the set? Like, what's the amount of time that it takes to begin to have an optimal effect in the body? I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. This is just me theorizing, you know, trying to do the damage control or the analysis here. Beyond that, another theory could be, is a 1 rep max enough intensity to stimulate like optimal growth to then gain in the next workout? So what does that mean? So I did 315 for 1 last time I did workout B on February 23rd. We're March 9th now. And was that 315 for 1 rep sufficient intensity or optimal intensity to stimulate, you know, an optimal amount of growth to then grow in strength for the next workout? Or if I had done 295 for 4 that time that I did this, would that have better stimulated some optimal growth? Like, I don't know what the optimal level of reps is necessarily, in the sense of like, is a 1 rep max sufficient if done to failure, obviously, which it was, because I couldn't get a second rep, right? But is that like a, you know, an optimal amount of intensity, given that with a 1 rep max, like, there's so much play there in terms of how much, you know, residual strength you have left after doing that 1 rep. So for example, like, what do I mean by that? For example, you got enough in the tank for 315 for 1 rep on the deadlift, but then you don't have enough in the tank for a second rep. But would you have enough in the tank for, you know, like, 295 for 1 or 2 reps in addition to this 315? And that would more fully deplete or exhaust or stimulate growth in your body system via that extra intensity. Like, it's I don't know like what the curve of intensity here is in the human body in terms of like, does it matter just that you go to failure regardless of the rep range? I would say yes, obviously. Now at the same time, like, try to be wise and hopefully, you know, don't hurt yourself or anything, because with 1 rep maxes, it's probably much more dangerous in terms of potential for injury. But like, what I'm basically saying is a 1 rep max enough like intensity of effort to stimulate growth optimally, to then have a growth increase by the next workout, like growth in strength. So anyway, that's just the theory there, because again, like, the 315 didn't go up this time, but the dips did. But again, the dips tempo was probably a bit more rushed compared to last time. But yeah, that's just me kind of theorizing. So I think what's going to happen, so this might better prove whether any of my theorizing is correct or semi-correct or something, is I'm just going to reattempt 315 next time, and we're going to see what happens. And hopefully I will get consistent sleep and hopefully consistent calories per day. And again, I'm probably going to, like, I'm not counting calories, but I'm kind of aiming, or hopefully I'm hitting around a 300 to 500 calorie surplus a day. I don't actually know what my daily metabolic burn is. I'm just assuming I'm average like 24 or 2,500 calories a day. Again, haven't tested this, haven't asked ChatGPT based on my height and weight and age what my potential calorie burn is. I'm just kind of estimating here. But again, the main thing is, are you increasing in strength from workout to workout, whether it be in reps or whether it be in weight that you can lift? As far as I've heard from Mike, the general rule of thumb here is, you know, if you plateau for more than 2 workouts, or reach a sticking point for more than 2 workouts, you should look at changing something. And as far as I would assume, plateauing for more than 2 workouts, in my mind, at least how I'm going to treat it, would be, you know, 315 for 1 on February 23rd. You know, strength went down on March 9th from 315 to 295 for 1. So then if I were to try to attempt 315 again, the next time I do workout B, and it didn't go up, like it didn't lift off the floor again, like if it was a failed attempt again, then it would be like, okay, I need to change something here. You know, whether it's the amount that I'm eating, like, so we're just going to lump like nutrition with like the eating and maybe like, you know, when you take your supplements or whatever, the amount of calories you're ingesting, or there's the, you know, are you training intensely enough, right? Now, that's the part where I don't necessarily know. Again, is a 1 rep max compared to like a, you know, 4 reps or 5 reps of high intensity training? Like, what's better at stimulating growth? So that's kind of a gray area. And then the other thing to change would be like the recovery. Am I recovering adequately from the workout? In terms of rest days, I think I'm hopefully definitely recovering adequately, given that I'm only training once every 7 days. So I would hope that would be enough recovery time. The other thing to like subtitle or put in brackets beside recovery is, am I sleeping optimally? So again, does the 7 hours plus a night of sleep help to make or break your strength and growth increases? I don't know, but it's worth trying to sleep more optimally to hopefully increase the chances of success. I've done a lot of talking, and so I'm going to end this there. But it was a little bit of a bummer of a workout in that sense, but maybe it's interesting in a way, and maybe it's helpful for any of you watching that I do encounter this road bump, because if I manage to get around it, then maybe that will give you guys some potential ideas as to how to, you know, think about whatever sticking points you might be reaching in your workout progression. So anyway, I'm going to leave that there. We're going to see what happens next time I do this. Hopefully dial in some things. Hopefully attack the next workout, or the next deadlifts rather, more optimally. So thank you for watching. Have a good day.